What's up, all my fine girls? No pimple. Is Whit here again with another video. So today I am going to be doing a video that I love watching here on YouTube, and it's the if I can only keep 10 palettes. So essentially I kind of like watching videos like this when it comes to like any type of category, whether it's makeup, perfume. Like I just enjoy seeing people who have really large collections of a specific item and seeing like if you can only keep 10 of all that you own, what would it be? So you know, I looked through my collection, okay, and I was able to narrow it down to 10 with one honorable mention because, listen, this one I was like going back and forth between should I change it out, should I put it in, should I? So I have to just at least mention it, but I have the top 10. But before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I want you to comment down below what your top 10 are, okay? Like, what are your top 10 palettes that, you know, out of your whole entire collection that you cannot let go? Like if you had to give it all away and you can only keep 10, what would the 10 be? But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So first and foremost, the way these palettes were even chosen were based off of color story, versatility, formula, and nostalgia, to be honest. So some of them I just see it as like they're a collector's item, like, you know, I have a fond memory with it, and it might not necessarily be like it's a better palette than what I have in my collection that I didn't make the list. It's just like, okay, like this is something that I can't ever get again, so like I'm gonna hold on to it. So that's kind of like how some of these were chosen too. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this now. So the honorable mention is going to be the Shayla X ColourPop, the Perception palette. This one right here, because this one was hard for me. This one was supposed to be in the top 10, but after, you know, just thinking, it didn't make the top 10 officially. But you guys know Shayla's like one of my favorite people ever. Like I love Shayla. So of course this palette, you know, it has a special place in my heart. As you guys can see, I very much so have loved this palette. I don't know how the screen cracked, or not the screen, the mirror cracked. But yes, this is just a little honorable mention. But anyways, now let's get into the actual official 10 of this video. Now this is in no particular order. I'm just gonna be grabbing and we're just gonna be talking about them. So one of them in the top 10 is going to be the Colored Rain Safari Rain palette. I absolutely adore this palette. I was so happy that I was able to get my hands on this last summer actually not last summer, sorry, 2020. Like I'm so used to, it's still the new year, so it's like I'm having to realize we're in 2022 and 2020 was like at this point 2 years ago now. Yes, this was restocked for the last time, summer of 2020, and I was able to get my hands on it. I love it. This is Colored Rain's their old formula. I don't really like their new formula, so I feel like they've been putting out new stuff and I just haven't really been pressed to buy it because I don't really enjoy their new formula. But this one right here, just absolutely stunning. Like I love this palette. This is this, like the name is so on brand, on theme. This is truly a safari themed palette. I love the greens in here. I love the nudes that they have in here, or the neutrals. Absolutely gorgeous palette, and I love it, and I would never want to depart with this palette, so it's in the top 10. Okay, so this was actually the palette that I was going back and forth between either the Shayla or this palette, and ultimately I chose this one. And this is the Saharan 2 by Juvia's Place. This is actually the only Juvia's Place palette that made it into the top 10. I love Juvia's Place, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I have a lot of other palettes from different brands that I really love. But you know, if I had to pick out of the two, I kind of would have just chosen this one over Shayla's, just because I have some other stuff in this top 10 that can give me what the Shayla palette did. But like, y'all, I swear this shade alone, I just love it. Like I talked about in my Juvia's Place palette collection that I just posted, how much I love this shade. This palette is just absolutely stunning, and I wouldn't want to part ways with this palette. So yes, that is this one, the Saharan 2. Okay, next is the Beauty Bay their Age of Opulence palette. I love this palette more than the Book of Magic. My chair is squeaking, so I'm sorry if you guys hear that. I don't know why it's squeaking, but it's like squeaking. I love this palette way more than the Book of Magic, okay? And really it's because it's just richer and it's deeper. You guys, if you've watched my channel for some time now, you know I love really deep colors, rich colors, and I feel like this does just that. Also, I feel like some of the shades lean a little more cooler, specifically the blue. Blue is not really one of my favorite colors when it comes to eyeshadow. I mean, I don't mind it, but it's not my favorite. But if I had to pick, I would want it to be more cooler toned. So I love the blues in here. And then also the purples are just gorgeous. Now, these like purples here are a little bit warmer, but I don't mind because, you know, I kind of get like my more cooler tone purple here. And I mean, I just love this palette. Also, Beauty Bay has a really amazing formula, especially their shimmers, out of this world. Like, I mean, if you have not had a chance to try out Beauty Bay, if you have not had a chance to try out Beauty Bay, I highly recommend them. Like, I love this palette. So of course, this, out of all my Beauty Bay palettes, had to be in here. I mean, out of all my palettes, but out of the Beauty Bay ones, I think I like this one the most. But yeah, this is definitely top 10 worthy. Okay, next up, this one right here is more of like a collector's place. I definitely have other palettes that I feel like I would grab over this, but the collector in me is like, oh, I can never get this again. So of course I had to make it into this. And this is the Jackie Aina palette in collaboration with Anastasia Beverly Hills. Now don't get me wrong, this is a beautiful palette and I love using it, but I mean, I do have other palettes that I love to use more. But of course, I mean, this just had to make the lineup. Like, I mean, you can't get your hands on this anymore. And I love Jackie Aina. I feel like she's hilarious. I love her content. So, I mean, I definitely love to support the stuff she puts out. So, of course, this one had to make the lineup. And I do love this palette. This is really, really pretty. It's gorgeous. It's fun. The only thing I would have loved to see would have been like either a darker brown of the palette or black. But, you know, this was her creative outlet, okay? This was her vision, so this is what she would want, you know, but if I would have been able to switch some things around, that's what I would have changed. But overall, I do love the palette, and of course, it made the top 10. Okay, coming in next, well, another one in my top 10, it is the Clarity Cosmetics, their Berry Royal palette. This right here is a stunning, stunning palette. Like, I love this. So this is what this looks like. You guys, I love pink and purple eyeshadow, and this is right up my alley, and it's a perfect type of colors that I like. I absolutely enjoy the formula from Clarity Cosmetics, so of course this one had to make it. Like, I would not want to depart ways with this palette. Like, I love using this. I love looking at this palette. Everything about this palette is beautiful. So yes, this is Berry Royal by Clarity. Okay, next here I have the Pat McGrath Mothership 5. Okay, so while I'm opening this up, because I do keep mine in the boxes, listen, I feel like this palette honestly made it in this top 10 purely based off the price. Okay, I'm thinking I have all the Mega Mothership palette, all the large ones, and I'm thinking, okay, if I had to let go of my entire collection, I have to keep at least one of those palettes. Like, those are $125 each. Okay, so of course one I had to stay, and if I had to pick out of the 9 that I do have, it's gonna be Mothership 5. So let me show you guys what this one looks like. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful palette. I love using it, but I mean, the price alone kind of, you know, bumped it up into the top 10. So yes, this is what this one looks like. Her special shades are so stunning. Like, oh, it's just not reflecting right. Like, the lights are hitting it weird. But stunning eyeshadow formula. Now, I have said before, this is kind of reminiscent of the Jackie Aina, her palette with Anastasia. The only thing that I would say that I like more about this palette is the darker purple, but I like Jackie's palette better because of that that ginger shade. Because this right here, do not be fooled, it is not as light as it looks. It is a dark shade, and I feel like I really wish that Pat McGrath would have made this shade just a tad bit like lighter, so that way you can use for like a transition color, because it's almost just, you kind of just are just going to go dark. Okay, there's no really doing a light look with this palette. It's dark, okay, which I don't mind. I don't mind a dark look, but I mean, when I'm thinking of like my transition colors, I would just want them to be a little bit lighter, because I don't think both of these are needed, because this one's dark too as well, so we could have had this one just a little bit lighter. But overall, yes, this palette definitely had to make it into the top 10. Okay, the next one is the Aviation Orvina palette, volume 1. This is truly a favorite of mine. I love using this palette. Whenever I do pull it out, I always enjoy the looks that I create with it. I enjoy playing with this, and of course it's a dream of mine because it's pink and purple. Well, primarily purple with like one like really bright pink shade here, and then like the little shimmer shade right here. But I love this. I absolutely love this palette. I feel like I can get really creative with this, and I love the fact that there's a white and a black in there, so you're able to, like, you know, mix and match and really get creative and let the artistry flow from within, right? So yes, this is the Orvina volume 1, and I absolutely love this palette, and I would not want to depart ways with this. Okay, next is the Made by Mitchell, his Head in the Clouds palette. This right here, I like, oh, anytime I look at this palette, I get excited. Like, just look at it. It's so beautiful. Oh, it's so cute. This right here is just, it is so me. Like, I love how random, crazy the colors are. Like, I love the fact that it's not necessarily color coded in order, but I like the fact that the colors flow together. Like, you can create really good looks and they pair well with each other. I love his matte formula. I've said before, I'm not really crazy about his shimmers. They're not bad. They apply on well. I just don't like the texture more so. They're just a little bit more on the thinner side, and I'm used to more of a richer texture when it comes to my shimmer shadows. But I mean, they still apply, so that's all that really matters, right? But yes, I love this palette. I mean, y'all, this right here, what other ones? This one right here, y'all, this yellow. Oh, did I get a little dent? I did make a little dent in there. This blue right here, this kind of reminds me of the Pat McGrath, her blue from her Mothership one. I highly recommend this palette, and I love it, and I would not want to part ways with this. Okay, next is the Plain and Makeup by Yolando. This is the Artistry Vault palette in collaboration with Melissa, or on Instagram she's known as Beauty by Melissa. Y'all, this palette, when I say I use this palette a lot. This is actually what I have on my eye today, just in case anybody wants to know. This is perfect for me. Like, first and foremost, just like, I love the division of this, like the half neutral, half colorful. It is stunning. I love that it is primarily mattes with a few shimmers in here, and I love the, just like, I feel like the neutral part of this palette is so perfect. Like the color selection, like everything about this palette makes me so happy. I really wish that she would have been able to keep this around longer. However, Beauty by Melissa has her own makeup line now, and she has a neutral palette that looks kind of like this, just it's all neutral without any of the colors, and just a little more shades have been added. So if you want something like this and you obviously can't get your hands on it anymore because it's no longer being sold, I would look into that one. But y'all, I would never want to depart ways with this. Like, I love this palette. Like, it's so beautiful. Okay, so the last one in my top 10 is going to be the Be Perfect Carnival 3, the Love Tahiti palette. You guys, this was my top palette of 2020, and it's probably my top palette of life ever. Like, as far as like, it's always gonna be in the top 10. Like, I can't see it not being in the top 10. Let me show you guys this palette. As you guys can see, I have gotten through that pink. Y'all, this palette is bomb.com. It is my perfect rainbow palette. Like, the only thing that I would have changed about this palette is maybe switched out like maybe like one of the, like maybe this shade, and put like an actual true primary yellow, because this is more of like an orange yellow. But that's the only thing I would have changed. But overall, I mean, this is a stunning palette. I love the way this actually was laid out. Like, I mean, I can't get enough of this. Like, I can't, like, every time I look at this, I get so happy. Like, the possibilities is endless with this palette. Like, there's so many different colors, different eye looks that I can create using this palette alone. This was worth the hell that I went through to get it, because when I say that launch was a disaster, I was in the queue for hours. I was at work on my phone trying to make sure I got this palette, okay? Like, but I have it and I love it, and I definitely would recommend this palette over and over and over again. This is perfect. But anyways, you guys, that is it to my top 10 palettes. If I could only keep 10, these would be the 10 that I would keep. I feel like they are beautiful, they are worth it, and I would recommend any of these palettes. If you don't have any of them, I feel like they're just amazing, okay? So yes, that is that with this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and that's the next time I talk to you beauties later. Bye.